Hey guys, it's Kane, and this is something new I'm going to be doing since there's not jack shit to be reviewing until around mid-November with the Dragon Quest III remake. So I figured I'd do about like a weekly to bi-weekly gaming news channel update type of thing, where I find articles that I personally find interesting and want to talk a little bit about with with you guys. So this intro will definitely be different in the future, but since this is the first one, why not explain it a little bit? So hope you guys enjoy, and if there's anything you'd like to see changed, let me know in the comments.
Boy! Look! It's Thor!
You should kill yourself now!
So if you're like me, then you completely forgot that a while ago, Amazon actually announced that they're making a God of War TV show. And first off, I don't really know why you'd make a TV show out of God of War in general, especially not the newer 2018 God of War, which is, way slower paced. And while I did enjoy it, I had a good time with the first game, the original trilogy are definitely my cup of tea. I'm not the biggest fan of what they did with Kratos and boy, but I mean, it's whatever. Ragnarok, on the other hand, is a different story, but that's not what we're here to talk about today. But yeah, so essentially the show has been scrapped. It's being rewritten from the ground up, and that means any writing they had, any shooting they had. Done. I mean, I don't even think any shooting has been done because they haven't announced anything casting wise. So you're looking at a show that probably would have already been years to months away is now several years away, and I couldn't care less. But I'm sure there's some people out there that were excited for the God of War show. And it says here, personally, I think they would have scrapped this show because what they had was dog shit. I mean, that seems to make the most sense. But here it says that they had multiple scripts, with some of them even being praised in the past. But I mean, if you had a praiseworthy script, then I don't know why you would have scrapped it. And personally, I don't know why you're having such a hard time writing a script for a show that for a show that's based off a game you're supposedly following closely. Because it says right here that this project would be more like The Last of Us as opposed to Fallout, which what they mean by that is it's going to be following the game story as opposed to being its own original story like the Fallout show. But personally, when I read The Last of Us, I meant, so it's going to be full of miscasting and have one random off episode where there's two old men fucking. They even say right here, maybe people like Dave Bautista or Jason Momoa come to mind for Kratos. Dave Bautista, maybe, I don't know. I would have to see him in the actual makeup, but I think maybe he could do it. But Jason Momoa, nah, fuck that guy. After seeing him in the Minecraft trailer and what they had him wearing, I got no more respect for that man. But ultimately, I think something important to remember at the end of the day is that ultimately this is Amazon, alright? The same people that made the Lord of the Rings show, Rings of Power. That's what it's called. And if you've seen anything about that show, then you know that Amazon couldn't give a fuck less about lore, especially Tolkien's lore. Because, of course, the second that man passed away, they took every opportunity to change anything and everything they wanted to. So I would not expect these guys to pay any respect to God of War, the lore, or anything about that. So again, you always got to remember who you're working with here. But yeah, so if you were one of the few people looking forward to this God of War show, you're going to be waiting for a fat fucking minute. Hate to tell you. But that's about all for this story. There's not too much to say, just...
What the fuck is this piece of shit? Etchison Dobbs Blair. What a goofy looking fuck he was.
just get it out there.
She's okay.
One shot
okay.
everybody.
She's
yeah.
okay. I don't give a shit.
Ah, yes. Next, we have the studio that took a mission type that players hated and then doubled down on it, because, you know, that's what you do when you listen to your players. But with that out of the way, all DLC for Spider-Man 2 has been cancelled. That's right, yet another example of why you cannot trust these game studios and why they are not your friends. It's funny, it says right here that Insomniac has announced it's coming to PC on January 30th, but they will certainly not be getting my money. Not just because it's a Sweet Baby Inc. fuck fest, but also because it's just a huge disappointment overall with a stupid fucking story and just cucking Peter the entire game, basically. But yeah, this isn't a Spider-Man 2 review. We're just here to talk about the DLC. So as you can see here, they originally had an entire roadmap planned with the Beetle infestation, eventually going to the Carnage and Spider-Verse DLC. And those are both actually set up in the main game. There's a set of Spider-Verse missions, which eventually leads to like a little special Spider-Verse cutscene. And then the same thing with Carnage, where you eventually see Cletus get the red symbiote at the very end of the mission. But yep, so if you were wondering where those were going, guess you have to buy Spider-Man 3 fuckface, because you're not getting the DLC. And and also you better hope they wrap those stories up in 3 if you actually give a shit about this. Again, something else I don't really give a fuck about, but I know there's a lot of Spider-Man fans out there. Although, in my opinion, if you're a Spider-Man fan, then you shouldn't support the degradation of Peter Parker like that, as he already gets enough of it in the comic books. In my opinion, the real reason I think they canceled the DLCs is to just further encourage people to buy the standalone Venom game, which you already know is coming. It's been leaked that there was basically an entire move set for Venom planned out and more missions for you to play as him. But, you know, why include those when you could scrap them from an already short game and charge players another $30 to $40 for it? That's why I personally never played the Miles Morales one, because I'm not paying, like, I don't know how, that shit's like, I know that it's almost as much as a full price game on Steam, and I am not paying that for like a 6 to 8 hour fucking spin-off game. You guys are smoking that Diddy crack. And of course, you know the Venom one's going to be the same price. Yeah, that's pretty much it for the Spider-Man 2 segment, but I figured it's something kind of important to speak about.
That's a cute outfit. Did your husband give it to you?
Fucking righteous fucking
So this story honestly took me a little off guard, simply because of how fucking absurd it is. And it really just goes to show you that nothing is safe from censorship nowadays. I mean, you know, they recently censored the Dragon Quest remake, which I'm definitely going to be talking about in the review. But even Sonic, that's right, Sonic, the new Sonic's X Shadow Generations game has censorship in every version except for the Japanese version. And here I have a list of everything that's been censored that I'll just talk with you guys about and give my thoughts on each one. But starting, we have Rogue, Rogue the Bat. Her outfit has been censored, and the skin on her back is now fully covered, and the breast size and cleavage is even further reduced. And I've seen pictures, but basically her outfit is no longer revealing anything. It goes all the way up to her neck, and I don't know. I don't know if they finally realized that the Sonic audience has a reputation for being coomers, or if they think showing off a back is too sexual. But of course, you can't have women be pretty in games. Well, but every man, of course, is basically the peak of masculinity. And that also, unfortunately, means that there will be no more gooning to Rogue the Bat. That's right, boys. Pack it up. It's a sad day. Up next, we have Sonic holding Amy back by putting his hand in her face, and now he doesn't touch her at all and offers her a cupcake. Not much unlike EDP. Nice. I guess, cartoon comedy is too much. He offers her... I don't even know what to say to this. Offers her a cupcake. What the Okay. And then up next we have Amy's character card in the game removes any mention of her claiming to be Sonic's girlfriend. And then in addition to that, Amy no longer flirts with Sonic, and all dialogue where she did so in the original game was removed. Because, Amy's a strong, independent pink rodent, and she doesn't need no man, Can't have a happy relationship or a girl looking for love. That's illegal and wrong. What did you just say? You said it's not wrong? Let's see. The line where Knuckles asked Sonic if he's gained any weight was removed because, fat phobia. You can't call someone out for being a lazy fat fuck who sits and does nothing but eat all goddamn day and refuses to do any sort of exercise because, let's be honest, unless you have some sort of medical disease or some sort of thyroid issue preventing you from losing weight on a medical level, you don't have an excuse. The same way I don't have an excuse for being skinny. I could go to the gym, I could eat more, I could make the effort, but, it is what it is. The same way you're a fat fuck and refuse to take the initiative. But again, fat phobia, that's going too far. The scene near the end of the game where Amy knocks Knuckles and he hits a tree was changed to her just lightly touching him. Kind of going back to the Sonic putting his hand in Amy's face. Cartoon violence is too much, I guess. I don't even know what to say to that. It's just pathetic, really. The scene where Eggman says, this one kind of made me laugh when I first read it. The scene where Eggman says, "Take a good look at yourself, Sonic. It's the last look you'll get before I close your eyes forever," was changed to, "It's the last thing you'll see in this world." And what's funny to me is those both mean the exact same fucking thing, just different context. They mean the exact same goddamn thing. But honestly, this is just fucking ridiculous, and I've barely seen anything. I've barely seen any big media sources talk about it or cover it. And I think this is probably more important than even the previous two segments because censorship it should not be supported. We do not need people above us telling us what we can and cannot see. You give them like with all these companies, you give them an inch with anything and they take a mile. And as stupid as it might sound, you give them an inch with censorship, and then two or three steps later we have social credit scores. So this story isn't really new news, but I do think it's something important to talk about, and it's something that needs to be brought to more people's attention. But recently in an update, Steam made it more clear when you check out, as you can see in this little picture right here. When you check out, it tells you that you're not actually purchasing a product, but rather you're purchasing a license for the product. Meaning you don't own your game. You're basically renting it. And now, this isn't really much of a secret. This has been the case for digital software basically from the beginning, but I feel like people are looking at the wrong issue when it comes to this, because it should be blatantly apparent to anybody paying attention that companies are trying to get rid of physical media. They want it to die out. Just look at it. They release less. They make it harder to obtain. It's not pushed as hard. They've removed manuals and bonus things from the physical packages. I mean, it's very obvious that digital is what they want. And of course it's what they want. Because when you don't have anything physically, you don't fucking own it. At least if you have it physically, you could always sell it to somebody. You could give it to a friend. you have something that you could hold. You have a product that you actually own, until they shut off the servers at least. And people honestly just need to push back more against this. And I mean, I don't have much room to talk here because I'm a PC player and my PC doesn't even have a disc port. But for those of you that are on console, use that disc port, man. Put it to use. If you can get it physically, try to get it physically, because the way these companies like to look at it is you don't own it. You give them your money and you are getting a license. So if that's how it's going to be, you know, in my opinion, like I've seen other people say, this isn't my saying, but if buying isn't owning, then piracy isn't stealing. You know, obviously I'm sure there's some maneuvering room in that statement, but I mean, that's how I like to look at it. So this story right here actually kind of takes me back to my 3 Deadly Sins video a little bit with one of the points I was talking about. Because recently, some cocksucker named Bruce Nethsmith, I don't know, corporate dickhead number 6,795, made a statement that, while obnoxious, is also not entirely wrong. But it's about the horse armor that Bethesda released back during the days of Oblivion, back in 2006. And again, this story does a perfect example of highlighting why you cannot give these companies even an inch. Because what he's saying is true. Basically, he's saying that the players, you know, you're all making fun of it, but at the end of the day, people still buy it. And it's true. For all that, like, I stopped buying it. I mean, it's ridiculous how many people will complain about microtransactions and how absurd they are, but then you still buy it. Guys, the only way to get a point across to these game companies is to speak with your money. That saying doesn't exist for no reason. It exists because there is weight behind it. That's all they understand. They don't give a fuck what you have to say. They don't give a fuck what I have to say. You have to speak with your money. I stopped buying microtransactions like months ago. Or not months. Fucking years ago at this point. At least 2. Because guess what? It all started with $2.50 horse armor. And $2.50, that doesn't sound bad, right? But like I said in my Deadly Sins video, we had Call of Duty Black Ops 2 camos for around $2.50 as well, or $5, one of those two numbers, and that exact same pack is going to cost you $20 to $30 today. Like I said, you give them an inch, they take a mile. You can't allow them any wiggle room for any of this shit, man. None of it. Because they will abuse it to the absolute max. They will run mathematical equations. They will hire people whose entire job it is to figure out how you can make this new system as abusive and as money draining as possible. I mean, just look at Diablo Immortal. That game has made, I think, billions of dollars, and it's because, just like I was saying, they made the game as purposely abusable as possible, and you have absolute dickheads that go out of their way to spend $100,000 on a fucking mobile game. And at the end of the day, it's not about if you can afford it or not. It's about not supporting this business practice. Because when you support it, you tell them it's okay. And here we are in 2024 in the shitty state we're in. So thank you, Wells. But yeah, I just thought that this story did a pretty good job of highlighting one of the big issues in modern gaming at the moment. And it also brings back one of the points I made in one of my videos, because the people who buy this shit are just as much to blame as the devs. So our last story for the night is Starfield has finally gotten an official release date for its single player campaign. No, not the online MMO part, just the single player campaign. And it's also 11 years past its initial date. And this story personally interests me a little bit because I have spent a little bit of money on Star Citizen, and if you're wondering why, it's because there really is no other space game that wants to be as in depth as Star Citizen is. I mean, the closest I've probably played is Elite Dangerous, and I'm just a huge space nerd. I would love a really good sci-fi space game, and Star Citizen seems to be the only one really pushing for what I'm looking for. So, but don't worry, I didn't spend too much. I spent like probably around $100, and even that was over the course of like a year. But regardless, Star Citizen has finally announced its single player campaign's release date for sometime in 2026. And sometime in 2026 isn't even what part of the year. That's not even helpful. And if there's anything I've learned from playing Star Citizen, it's I'll believe it when I see it. Because anyone who's probably heard about Star Citizen knows that these guys have a history of promising things and just taking for fucking ever to deliver on them, if ever. And I think most of us who play it realize that a lot of this comes down to Robert, the guy who's making the game. He keeps piling too much bullshit on. Like, the game keeps getting more and more money, and because of that, he keeps wanting to add more and more and more features, despite half the features we were initially promised and still need for full gameplay functionality. They're still not fully functional. They're still not in the game, but yet he keeps adding more things, more creep. And it's fucking irritating. Like, I want this game to succeed, but the guy running it, this is one of the few times where I would actually say that I think this game needs some investors to put the fucking hammer down. Because with Robert having free reign, he's just all over the goddamn place. And at this rate, I'm hoping that if we do get the single player campaign in 2026, that the online gets a full release sometime around 2026, but maybe around 2027, but I'm not counting on it. And like with anything, and if there's anything you should know about Star Citizen, it's basically believe it when you see it. Expect any release date to be probably 2 years after its initial release, if not later. We're still waiting for Pyro. But yeah, I know a lot of you don't give a fuck about this game, but even if you don't really have any interest in Star Citizen, if you have an interest in space games, maybe this will be on your radar in 2026. But that's all for this story. So that's all I got for the news today, and I hope you guys enjoyed. This is definitely something I plan on keeping up with, and I had a little bit of fun making it. So if you guys found it entertaining, feel free to let me know before. And like I said in the intro, if there's anything you guys want to see changed about it, then feel free to let me know. I'm always open to criticism, and I will see you guys for I guess probably either the next stream. Yeah, I'll probably be streaming before the next news